Welcome to the summit, Recognizing Spontaneous Living Now. And I can introduce you to Andreas Müller. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the invitation. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for being here. And we are going to be talking about non-duality. You could say you're a non-duality speaker and an author as well. I've been reading your book, and it's also you have like 4 other books, and it's all about pointing to what we are, or the nature of reality. And yeah, this no thing, ungraspable freedom is it's a beautiful book, and the pointers are brilliant. And I must say, yeah, like the spontaneous living, that's what we'll be talking about, what is, and that's actually all there is. And maybe I can start with just reading a little paragraph from your book. With that?
Oh, all right. Oh, yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So, all right. Bottom line, that which is, no thing appearing as this, that is it. That is all there is. Nothing to be understood, nothing to be realized, nothing to be approached. It already is it. It already is whole, amazingly as it is. That is the miracle, the freedom, and the beauty.
Woohoo! That sounded quite okay.
It's already it. So there's no path, there's nothing to do.
Absolutely. I mean, when I say it's already it, that may sound a bit weird, because it still assumes there to be a special it, so to speak, a special certain reality. Well, what I meant probably is that just what happens, what seems to be going on, us having a conversation and all that stuff, that's just naturally whole and complete. And there is no secret, hidden, absolute it behind it, or underneath it, or around it. I think that's what I meant when I say that that's it. That's whole and complete.
Like what is, it could be expressed that way. Or you also express it oftentimes as no thing.
Yes, exactly. But but the interesting thing is that no thing doesn't lie behind our conversation, or it's not hidden within our conversation. It is exactly our conversation, so to speak. Us sitting here is no thing, is not something. That's all. That's it.
And also the expression no thing being everything, right? That's the kind of what you're saying.
Exactly. So this something, this supposedly something, us having the conversation and sitting in front of screens and talking, is actually no, that's wrong. Actually, is nothing simultaneously. It's something and nothing at the same time. It's not actually nothing. I don't know if that's clear. It's just something and nothing simultaneously. And I think that's often the misunderstanding, where when I say, or when it's said, nothing appearing as this conversation, because for the person it still sounds as if these are two things. There is this conversation, and it's coming out of some nothing, which is underneath or around or behind, an absolute nothing and a relative appearance, our conversation. But that's not really what's being said. What's being said is that having this conversation is the absolute, or is total.
So that's whole and complete already, just having a conversation, and whatever happens.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. And automatically, as it is everything, it can't be approached. There's nothing separate from it. So you can't do having this conversation. You can't do what apparently happens, so to speak. And one doesn't need to do it because it's already happening, so to speak.
There's no doer and it's just happening. And that I have a sense that I am actually doing something is an illusion. It doesn't, that sense or that me or that I as a doer is the illusion, is imagination, is not real. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, one could say so, yes. One could say the impression that you have is what apparently happens as well, like everything else, but there never is a real doer in it or behind it. It's just not really a separate something that can do or is doing things. It's just not the case. In the end, no matter how it feels. That's the thing. I don't want to make this feeling wrong, because you feeling like that, you having that impression is what happens. It's not wrong. However, it's not real in a sense that there is a real separate entity. It's not there.
So that is happening, that there is a sense of me. That is totally fine too. You could say whatever happens, happens. There's no right and wrong.
So to speak, exactly. It's the same wholeness that we talk about, but for no one. So when I say it's the same wholeness, it's not necessarily experienced as wholeness.
Yeah, because you also write about there is no experiencer.
Exactly. Yes, the I that would have the impression of I am doing, I'm now here, I'm doing, is also the experiencer. It's both. It's the doer and the experiencer. It's the creator and the observer. Apparently, because it's not real. Actually, it's neither nor. But the person experiences itself as some things I can influence, some things I can do, and some things I can only observe or experience.
Yeah, because somehow life seems like one big experience.
Well, for the person, this is life. For the illusion, so to speak, this is what life seems to be. Me being here and experiencing things. That's what the person would regard as that's what life is. My presence. Yes.
But there is actually, that presence is illusionary, that object subject of being aware of something or conscious of something, that's part of that sense of me.
Exactly. That is the sense of me, so to speak. That is, when one could say that is the basis of the separate experience, or that is the description of the separate experience. I'm something and I'm aware of a separate happening. I'm aware of a separate something. That seems to be an experienced separation.
That falls away when there's not this subject object happening. Then you could say you recognize, or you don't recognize, but there's a recognition of this just happening.
Yeah, one could say so. Yeah, there is an apparent recognition, because that's the other thing, that the dropping of that, or the turning out, or let's put it like this, liberation would be the turning out that this first subject, this I, doesn't have any substance at all. Very simplified or very superficially, one could say that's the dropping of the I. Actually, it's the turning out that it was never real. So, but as we talk, this would be the dropping of the I. And yes, what's left is this wholeness. What's left is what apparently happens, which is just naturally whole and complete. And one could say, as a story, apparently that's recognized. but liberation is not the recognition of that. So liberation is really the melting away of this separate energy, this separate feeling, with no replacement, really. It's not replaced with a real recognition. So that's why I'm very careful, so to speak, with the word recognition, because it opens up a huge potential for misunderstanding.
That's how it is with a lot of words, right? And people use different words and yeah, may point to the same thing, but use different words and yeah.
Absolutely, because I mean, what I think about recognition is that it's very easy for the person to turn it into an experience, because one could experiencing also regard as to notice, to be aware of, to recognize, to become aware of a circumstance, and to recognize wholeness, for example, or for the person it immediately sounds like, I can recognize that. I can come to a state, to an experience where I'm able to see wholeness. And in that sense, this will never happen.
You can't also not do anything to make, you could say, that sense of me or I melt away. I mean, there's nothing to be done.
Absolutely. Totally. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And then
that's a tough one. Apparently that's a tough one for the apparent eye, because we'd love to do something, but all it's doing is already illusory. That's the thing.
Yeah, it doesn't even exist in the first place. So how can it do something to get rid of something that doesn't exist either?
Exactly. It's just this whole idea of doing something for whatever, the end of me or enlightenment or stuff like that. It's just circling around in its own stories.
You could say it's just what is, this, what's happening. And whatever I do, whoever I am, whatever it is whole. It's always wholeness. It's always, we are already free.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And it's an utter surprise. It's not whole because it has to be whole, or it's not whole because it follows some logic. Wholeness is, this being whole and complete is not a conclusion. It's not the result of a process. That's the utter surprise. It's whole already. It's whole in the first place. And there isn't anything which can leave that wholeness or which can escape from this being whole. That's why sometimes I say, or some people say, it's the natural reality, because it's not something that's waiting at the end of a long path. It's not a certain special experience that maybe at some point in the future will emerge. No, it's the starting point, so to speak, and it's everything. It's just whole already, unexpectedly. You can't expect this in the end. The seeker can't expect this.
So there's no reason to seek anything. I mean, even whatever you seek, there's nothing to seek. It's already whole as it is, and like there's no direction. It's like no point, perspective, basically, right? There's no reference point. It's just there's nowhere to go.
Yes, absolutely. That would be another way of saying it. What we talk about, the natural reality or non-duality, is not a perspective, which is just another word for this being an experience. It's not a way of seeing life or a way of approaching or experiencing life. Absolutely.
One can just be as one is. Like there's nothing to change. There's nothing just be whoever I am as a human being here now.
Yes, yes. But the experience of existence, the experience to be that, that's illusory, that's not real. So in the end, the same thing, being who you are or being you also is happening already. This too isn't something that you can do or you have to do. It's just what being you or being me, so to speak, is what apparently happens as well, like everything else already. You don't even need to do that, so to speak. You don't even need to be you, and you don't even need to experience being you. You are you, so to speak, anyway already. Like everything else, like the screen, like the wall, like the plants, like the clouds, like everything in that sense. Again, when you say it's enough to be me, I don't mean this position, this sense of, this is me, and now I can consciously be me, and that's enough and stuff. No, 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 it doesn't. It doesn't have to be done or experienced either.
Yeah, it's just spontaneously happening.
Exactly. Yes. Well, in the end, timelessly, but spontaneous is fine. That's mean. I'm sorry.
Well, I do like the term timelessly, timeless.
Mm.
Yeah, because there's no moment either, right? It's interesting, like we'll talk about past or future or now, but none of those exist.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. It all melts together into something that's completely unknowable. Time, present, past, future. This whole experience to be on a path and stuff like that. It completely, yeah, as I say, they melt together into the unknown. And in that sense, not even a moment is left. No here and now experience. This would be this experience to be something now, here, knowable, experienceable, stuff like that. That's not real. That doesn't exist.
Yeah, there's literally nothing. I mean, everything is taken away. That's, yeah. Just the unknown. Maybe all there is that nothing, the unknown, which is everything. And yeah, it's just unknowable.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. That's the interesting thing. All the parts are taken away. And on the one hand, then nothing distinct or certain is left. On the other hand, what's left is everything. This nothing, or sitting in front of a screen being nothing, graspable, experienceable, is at the same time absolutely everything.
You can see it's not understandable at all. Like,
yeah. I too don't understand it. It's inexperienceable. It's not even how it really is. Can't only be understood. It just isn't. It just isn't experienced even. You can't experience how it really is. Impossible. Just impossible.
Because it has not to do with experience, or
because there is no experience, because experiencing isn't real, and experience, if it would be real, would only be in separation and experiencing parts. It would already be totality split into two parts, where one tries to experience the other part.
It does feel like, though, that, you know, I'm here living a life, you know. It's like,
yeah, that's the dream.
yeah, even the I am, it's like that is the dream too. It's just so spontaneously just happening that there's no one there.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it's totally direct. I mean, what we talk about is not conceptual at all. And in the end, it's not emotional and energetically, it's utterly direct. What happens, what apparently happens, including every notion, thought, sense, belief, whatever, is utterly and directly itself. There is no distance to anything at all. As I say, including all beliefs, including, yeah, everything, so to speak.
You also mentioned, aliveness in your book. I've come upon that word, aliveness. So is that the no thing being everything? Aliveness is another term?
Yeah, it's another term I don't say too often anymore, because to me it's a bit one-sided, because what it is and isn't. That's the thing. It's something and nothing. So it is and isn't. So in a way, it's aliveness and emptiness at the same time, or aliveness and death at the same time, simultaneously. But oh yeah, one could say it's aliveness. It's full on. It's totality. Sitting in front of a screen is total. It's a bit like compared to the personal, or compared, I don't know, compared to this personal experience, which says there is me and I have this life that I own, my life, this one small stream of happening in the universe, so to speak, that's called me and my life. And of course, when that turns out to be illusory, what's left is totality, aliveness itself, but for no one. In that sense, this is aliveness.
And like you said, it's happening for no one. So it is like that me or I, that sense, and it's just gone, and there is an absence of the me, and it's not replaced by anything else. So it's more like empty, and as you said, it's also full on, like it's,
yeah, but as I say, it's not that's the thing. Well, I can't describe, no one can describe this logically, or because it's just not an experience. But yes, the presence of I am turns out to be illusory. Yes, and the turning out is also the melting away of that experience. I can't actually really say how that is, but as I say, it's not a concept. It's just reporting from here. There isn't, this center isn't there. Yes.
And it's always like that for everyone, everything. So it's interesting how that sense of I and me is there for most people in the world.
Yeah, one could say so. Yeah, I've no idea what this is about. That's true.
So it's like there's this me, this sense of me and I, and looking for something to fulfill itself, because there's this lack, and always trying to fulfill this that feels unfulfilled, and wants to be happy and relaxed and peaceful and peace in the world. And there's always something out there, or even maybe something in here, but there's nothing to find, because it's already so whole. So, but this searching though seems to, this world has a lot of suffering in many ways, and it seems like the cause of that suffering oftentimes is because of this search for fulfillment, and we take action out there that may not, benefit other people sometimes, or like war or greed and all these things that happens in the world. But Is that based on that sense of me, or would it happen anyways, even if the me wasn't there?
Well, there's no clear answer, because in the end it's quite unpredictable what would happen with or without the me illusion, so to speak. So I can say two things about that. So first of all, the illusion of me, that most people assume themselves to be someone, is exactly the same wholeness, and it's undone. There is no real me behind that either. So in that sense, it is just wholeness as well. It's just what seems to be happening, which is whole and complete for no one, on the one hand. On the other hand, you're right. It seems to be that most people experience themselves as someone, and they do a lot of things to compensate that sense of lack. And yeah, it seems to be that a lot of war and struggle and stuff like that seems to come out of that. Yeah, true. But it's quite impossible to say when the illusion of I am would drop, so to speak, in the world, or for a bigger amount of people. It's quite unpredictable how it would look like afterwards. Because on the one hand, yes, maybe the potential for a lot of frustration and struggle and stuff would be gone, but how it would unfold afterwards, no one knows. No one knows, really. But I assume that many struggle. I mean, I assume that it might be very hard to fight for the belief in one's own God against another belief, for example. I can hardly imagine that this would be happening, to be honest.
Yeah, like when all beliefs go, it's yeah, there's not that. I mean, the opinions may still, and you may still have belief and such, that won't change, but you know, they're just what appears. There's no identity in the opinions or beliefs or preferences or anything.
So to speak, there isn't anything here that uses beliefs for one's own definition and security and safety. Beliefs are fine, they are totally fine, but they are, as I say, they are not used. They are not needed for one's own definition. So yeah.
Do you feel a change in you after the me fell away? Did life change for you?
Well, that's hard to say, because in the end, life is constantly changing. But yeah, it seems to, apparently. But yeah, it seems to, of course. I mean, it was the end of the seeking dynamic, and little by little, this changed also, or is changing still, this apparent character. Kind of, not the character maybe itself, but of course, also the behavior that was based on seeking slowly drops. It's not really needed anymore, certain behavior. Trauma, maybe, patterns. Not that they need to go. They aren't wrong, and they were never wrong. But my impression is they just aren't used anymore to fulfill one's own need.
Yeah.
For fulfillment, this deeper longing for fulfillment. Nothing is used anymore. In that sense, nothing is needed. So what apparently happens, including this one, is kind of playing out freely, exactly as it is. Not in a special or in a holy way or something, not at all. I still am as I am, so to speak.
It's almost like there's more space to be who you are. You know, there's not all these different
yes, one could say so. Yeah, but exactly how I am in all apparent aspects, so to speak. Of course, it's total. I'm total. Everything is total, and there's not the attempt to change that, really, or to play oneself, or to manipulate one's own thoughts and feelings to be a more happy me and stuff like that. That dynamic apparently dropped.
And you still live life, and you're still surviving. So
Well, apparently so far, yes. For no reason at all. Yes, it's a miracle.
yeah.
Yeah.
I also I like how you say, you know, life and death is like, it's basically the same, right?
Oh,
Life.
absolutely.
Yeah. But then when the body dies, it just seems like there's no more life.
Yeah, for the person, this looks like a huge difference. But it's for the person, it is this difference between I'm now here and death is unknowable, but it seems to be the direct opposite of me being now here, so to speak. See, that's how it seems for the person. But this presence isn't real already, and this whole dance around the ideas of life and death, presence and absence, it's just only part of that dream of I'm present.
Yeah.
This whole narrative just drops. This whole paradigm of life and death just drops when that which believes itself to be alive turns out to be dreamt or turns out to be unreal.
And that's so when you sleep at night in deep sleep, it is like there's no one there. And then when we wake up, it feels like there's someone there. So it's easy for people actually to relate to this no one, because in deep sleep, there you are no one. So every day you're really.
That's right, but my impression is that the person can only relate to the concept of deep sleep. It can't relate to how it actually is in deep sleep.
Because you don't remember, you don't know when you wake up, like how deep sleep,
how it actually was and how it felt and stuff like that. Exactly. And in a way, the same applies to during the day. So when there is no one waking up in the morning, I can't make any other statement, so to speak. Or this message tries to describe deep sleep, but it's failing constantly because it can't be described. Because there is nothing going on. There is no experience of how it really is. And there is no experience really of deep sleep. And there is no experience really of having this conversation.
is real and unreal, and it's almost like everything is as if it's a dream. It's appearing, it's, you know, all these appearances that are real and not real at the same time, and alive and dead at the same time. And yeah.
Yeah, one can't go there. There isn't one. That's why one can't go there.
Like you say, you're like dead, right? And to me, you're very alive, but
Oh, because it's the same thing. That's it. There's no you, and what happens is and isn't, which is alive and, well, dead. Yeah. It's there and not there. Yeah.
And it's also like any words is always just a description, right? It's so.
And that's even an apparent description only, not even a real one.
So it is ungraspable, like in your book, right? Because it's just, I like unknown, because it just okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh well, Andreas, thank you so much. Your website, how can people get in touch with you?
Well, I think the website is thetimelesswonder.com, one word. Probably there's first the German page popping up, but there's a flag where you can change the language. But it's thetimelesswonder.com. And there's my email and all that stuff.
And events and such.
And events. Yeah, for anyone who's interested in this message, you can find anything you want.
Yeah. Well, excellent. I really appreciate it, Andreas. Thank you so much.
Oh, lovely. Thank you very much. Gorgeous. Really lovely. Thanks for the invitation.